So, story time. I've got way too much of a headache to do the story time.
Okay.
Can you do it?
No, I don't, because if I do it, then your head will hurt too.
I got an idea.
Story time.
Why don't we ventriloquist it, and you say it, and we'll just...
Okay. Story time!
So, today's story takes us back to the first day that we moved here.
Oh, sure.
Remember that?
I do.
It's an important story because my good buddy Mark is coming into town for Thanksgiving, and he's spending 8 days with us. But no, this was when Whitney was still pregnant with Jess.
Yeah.
It was right before Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Right before Mother's Day,
Yeah.
so early May.
It was the end of April when we moved out here.
End of
April
April.
24th.
April 24th. The day that so it was the day before that we're moving. We were still in the
Broomfield.
in the
New
rental
house.
place in Broomfield. Yeah. And Mark says, "Hey, I'm coming in
Tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Bought tickets. Can you come pick me up from Denver?
and my girlfriend." And what did I say?
On moving day. And I was 7.5 months pregnant, and John's like, oh yeah. And here at our current location, we are an hour and a half from there, and quite possibly in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're a ways out.
We had 6-foot snowdrifts at one point
On Mother's Day.
on Mother's Day.
Anyway, so he's like, yeah. I was like, so help me if you leave. That is it for you. I was like, he can rent a car. He has a good job. You are not leaving me our first night in a new house.
And I was just driving a DIA. I wasn't going out to the Yukon.
4 hours. It would have been 4 hours round trip.
Oh, please. Would have been fine. So anyway, I didn't go.
Woo!
And Mark came out here with his
Right.
girlfriend at the time.
Yep.
And they helped us unpack the house.
They were very helpful. They were.
So very, very helpful. And Whitney and I were moving from the Broomfield house to this house, but it wasn't just the house that we were moving.
It was a lab.
It was also the lab. And we're talking everything had to be moved in a day. Compression machines, like we had to get the company up and running.
Right.
In our labs, when we were setting up labs in garages, and I tell you something, you give Whitney and I maybe 2 days and we can turn any garage into a climate-controlled CCRL certified lab. Well, the CCRL, that'll take us a little longer. Give us 2 days, won't be CCRL certified, but it'll be freaking wicked.
Well, it would be CCRL prepped.
Right.
You would need to do the certification on your own.
What she said. So,
Maybe a week with new calibrations, their schedule. Just got to plan for these things. Go ahead.
So, just
I
making
can find
sure.
something to talk about if you like.
So, when we did our labs, we had a rudimentary standard operating procedure. Followed it to the letter. The first thing that we started out with tarps on the floor.
Right.
And the tarps on the floor sectioned off the areas. Areas where we could bring certain materials, couldn't bring certain other materials like waste or chemicals or blah, blah, blah. And then what we started doing is building up from there. The compression machine was the front right corner if you're looking into the garage. And after the compression machine was the freezer, then you have the steps that walk up. Then you have the mixing table, then you have the chemical cabinet against the wall. And it was just enough room to open the doors. Then you had all these different cabinets on the wall where we put all of our tools. And as you got further back, that's where we started putting our clients' materials, especially when we hit the safe. That's where we put the chemical admixtures that we put up, and then the stairs that went up to the attic had all of our customers' chemicals that we had made. And then wrapping around to the front left of the garage, you had all the raw materials, sand, rock, cements for the different projects.
Right.
And we stacked the buckets so high that the bottom buckets weren't strong enough.
Right.
So we had to put plywood section down on top of the buckets to keep the other buckets from crushing the lower buckets. Yeah, dude, we did like so many things to use up the. It was a little bit wider but shorter than this current room that we're in right now.
It was definitely wider,
Well,
because
you
it
know,
was
it's
like
a
a
garage.
2-car.
Right, yeah, definitely wider.
No, not a 2-car. A very
It's like
wide
a one and a
1-car.
half, one and
One in like a narrow
One and a third.
motorcycle.
narrow
Oh,
motorcycle.
it was bigger than that.
It's not a 2-car.
Definitely
There
not
was
a
2
2-car.
cars in there at one point, but one of them was like a tiny. It was a Porsche.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Like 2
Mazda
Porsches?
Miata.
No, a Porsche and something small like a Lexus or something like that. But anyway, that's not the point. In the middle, we had the semi-adiabatic temperature chest, which was on rollers,
Right?
so it could move anywhere. Then we had an oven.
That was later.
Oh, the oven was
We-
later?
we got that oven
Oh, that's
later.
right, that's right. And then we had
The tanks.
the
Okay.
tank. We had the tank all the way to the back by the,
Right.
with the heater.
Right.
And
I think that was it
I think that's
initially.
it, yeah.
Because the pads and the the pads and the ovens came later once
Right.
we had been there. So it was
So Mark and I took the entire day to put these tarps down. And we worked in the evening
right.
to get all the equipment in the right place. Because the following week we were having calibration folks come in.
Right.
And then the last thing that we did was
Had to fill up the tank.
had to fill up the tank. Now normally, what I would do,
A few inches.
2 inches. I always start with 2 inches. It's that bottom portion of
Right,
the tank, it's
right.
already marked off. So 2 inches, leave that
Right.
for an hour, come back, fill it up, a third the way, come back an hour, fill it up.
Yeah.
So we were just so tired. I'm getting so tired just talking about
I
how
know.
tired.
I am as well.
So we
It's a
were
lot.
so tired, so I was like, you know what? I'm sure it's fine. How often do our tanks actually leak?
Up until that point, it had not happened often. I think once in New Jersey.
90-gallon tank.
Filled it up
Not all the way though. It was
at
like
least
88.
halfway.
Oh, it was like 88 gallons. Like it was filled up, but it wasn't filled up to the top. And we didn't even have samples in there. That's the worst part. So it's not like
Right.
there were samples taking up volume, and it was not only.
It was mostly.
It was all water. So woke up, and Mark and Belinda left the next day, and sent them off, and I had this sick feeling in my belly.
Yeah.
And I said, and Whitney said, we were going to go out somewhere. We were going to
Probably
go out.
go find a grocery store.
Whatever.
Just kidding.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go just check on the lab just to see how it's doing. And this was a Saturday or Sunday. So I go into the lab, and I'm still kind of like half asleep. The lights are off, and I walk down the step. And you know that sound you hear when a flat shoe with no tread hits water? It's like this slapping sound of water. And my eyes weren't even open when I put my foot in, and I felt the water and heard the water before I saw it. And I
Yeah.
said, oh.
No.
Oh, I didn't say oh no, I said oh shit.
Oh, sure.
The entire tank, that was the nice thing, the entire tank emptied out.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have to empty the tank because it was already totally emptied.
All under the tarps that had been taped down and, oh yeah.
The one part that I felt was like the one piece of concrete that was showing that did not have tarp on it. It was like 8 inches of concrete that I stepped on. That went. So, I had to move all the equipment out of the barn, out of the garage.
But that was our only tank at the time too.
It was our only tank. I had to pull back all the tarps. I had to pull sheetrock out and put towels in there, dry up all the sheetrock, wait for it to dry.
And that was when we found Big R. The first tank we had gotten, we were in New Jersey and we spent more on shipping than we did on the tank. Like the tank was like $200 and then shipping was like $400 or $500 just to get it over. Big R has them for like $80, so we
Little
just
did
drove
we
over.
realize we're living in farm country.
Right, so that
Whitney
was
drove over,
wonderful.
Got tanks for us.
Yeah, and we got a couple. So
Got a couple. I pulled everything
Yep.
back. It was lucky it was a nice windy day. It was like 30 miles an hour winds.
it
So it
was.
dried out
Yep.
so quickly. I put all the tarps back, and when we say put the tarps, it's not like we just laid the tarps down. we tape these down with Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
And like fix them to the ground so they never move when we're rolling dollies or material over it. So we had to fix them all down again.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Don't try to save time, because I feel like it rarely works.
My back is hurting just thinking
Like,
about
don't cut corners when you know you probably ought not.
that. You know, my grandfather used to say, when you don't have brains, you have feet.
Right.
And we didn't have the brains to figure that out. With that being said, we put the work in and we got it taken care of. I think Whitney has to go. End story time!
Go concrete!
Yeah, I thought.